I got kicked out sophomore year. What happened was, I ended up getting banned from using the restroom, and then literally the school sent security guards, like, escort me out of class to use the restroom to like, take a piss. And then after like a while, I started like taking calls during detention for weeks. So I started taking calls during detention. And they were treating me worse than drug dealers. Like the principal like knew my name like on the top of their head.
The first question that I have is just like, when you were in high school, were you really taking investor calls in the bathroom, or was that like a front that you just kind of used to get attention, to get like, more eyeballs on what you were building?
Actually, it was a lot worse. That actually happened. So like the tweets, like some of it was like it was more of like it was cleaned up, right? To put on the internet, but it was actually crazier. So like I was spending 5 to 6 hours a day in the bathroom. There were like drug dealers there. So like one thing that I didn't put out was like there were a lot of drug dealers in the bathroom, right? And, like there's so many. The only people
To
in the
just make
bathroom.
friends with everybody.
Yeah. No, the only people in the bathroom during classes that were skipping classes were drug dealers. So I saw like all types of drugs in the bathroom. And when I was taking calls there, I convinced my counselor like urinary issues in the beginning of the year to like go to the bathroom. So I had like CrossFit issues and stuff like that. And the teachers like stopped, like she literally gave me a pink pass. And the teacher stopped believing that I had like issues. So I would alternate with this, and then also the drug dealers were stealing hall passes to the principal's office. So I would go to the principal's. So it would look like I would go to the principal's office a lot, and basically I
So
would
you look
buy
like the
hall
bad kid.
passes. Yeah, I'd buy
Yeah.
hall passes because I was like wondering why they were out of class all the time, and they were stealing hall passes from teachers. So I'd
That's
like
wild.
alternate between these two, and then there's some crazy stuff in the bathroom. Like I would be on a call, and then some guy would hotbox in the stall, and then the next class would be like so fucking high. Uh, so it was stuff like that. And then, there was like one time we were meeting with like senators, for fun. And, they were like, oh, I saw your tweets. I don't feel comfortable meeting a minor in the high school bathroom. So like the next day I bought a green screen and like a ring light into the bathroom. And
Oh
then
my God.
a teacher walked in, I got cooked from that. And then, it kind of went down from there. Principal found out about it, ended up banning me from using the restroom during school hours. So, like for me to use
Oh my
restroom,
God.
my teacher had called the principal, and the principal like sent school security to escort me down. And my parents were pissed. Like, it
Yeah,
was
that's the other question that I had is like, okay, so was all this stuff real? Yes, it's real, and it's actually worse than like your viral tweets showed. B, what the hell did your parents think? Because
my
I'd
parents didn't
imagine they
know.
probably wanted you to be like a good kid and just go to school, get good grades, and
My
be a good, yeah, don't get in trouble.
my parents didn't know I was taking calls in the bathroom until it was on the news. So
Did they know that you were like building stuff on the side, or like
they
working on a company while you're
they
going
were
like sophomore, junior year in high school?
they were kind of, I think the biggest thing my parents actually worried about wasn't actually that. They're like, oh, like he's doing something. But it was like, oh, like because it's like things that every Asian parent cares about, which is actually like how tall you are. So no,
Oh my
my
God.
mom would actually make me sleep early, at like 8 or 9
So you
during
can
like
grow.
freshman year of high school, so I could grow. And I would just go downstairs and sneak my computer and work all night on like the company,
Oh my God.
right? And stuff like that. So yeah, but it was interesting. And then my parents didn't know like about like yeah, like they help like actually they signed incorporation papers, but from then on, like I used their name to like I was like forging their signature to like sign documents and stuff like that. And then
So like this all started off when you were like what, 14? Because I guess
13,
you sold
yeah.
your all right, what the hell? So 13, you barely were in high school, right? You like just passed middle school. How did you like start a company? Did you start coding when you were really young, or where does this all stem from?
It was just during quarantine. Like, I mean, I'm from Indiana, which is like
Mm.
kind of middle of nowhere, and like during quarantine was
Yeah.
really boring, right? There's like nothing really there. And so I was like I got my computer during quarantine because my parents kind of got tired of it. So like I would spend like so much time on it, and I would build like Roblox games. And then through like one day I found this club called Hack Club, and it was Elon Musk did like an AMA there. And I was like, oh, this is like really cool. I got banned on the first day from that server, but I ended up meeting really interesting people. And then I got really lucky. Like I met the right people at the right time. Like I also San Francisco was a Discord server back in the day, and all the like the big tech people that were big now, like Sam Altman. You have like the Twitch founders. You have like all these different people. They were part of this server called Gen Z Mafia. So I met a lot of them through there. Worked for a couple companies, and then kind of went on, right. So it was
To
interesting.
start, you see, you work for a couple companies like at 14 years old, just interning, or like how did you?
When I was so I did a lot of contract stuff. So I didn't really know how to code
That's-
back then. But basically what I
Oh,
did was people, this was like 2021, peak 2021. people would pay crazy amounts of money for like really simple stuff. Right. And this is like back in zero interest rate. And they're like, I literally got paid like 5 grand just to like do a 1 page landing page. Um,
Oh my god.
that and basically what I would do is I would find like I would brand my like everyone was like running outsourcing companies. But basically I phrased it as like, okay, I would code. And then in reality, it was like, okay, I was like this like crack like 13-year-old. And that like got my name out there and I would apply for these jobs as like this 13-year-old, do the initial call, and then I would outsource the work to like someone from like India. And I
Yeah.
would do that for so many different like contracting
Yeah, just
jobs,
keep a
right?
cut.
Yeah,
And
I
so
would
I
keep a
guess
majority of it, so
yeah, so like you're making a shit ton of money
Mhm.
as like a 13, 14, 15-year-old. What were you doing with your cash? Like investing into your
Um,
company or like buying cool shit?
I didn't spend money, because, yeah,
No.
I, like, just had it. I, like, didn't spend money, and then I ended up, like, one day I met this, guy named Scott. He started this company Carbon Zero, which is, like, this climate credit card. I talked to him for a while, and he's like, "Oh, like, you don't have to do contracting, like, you just wanna work for us and, like, get to, like, see the whole company and stuff like that." And it turned out, like, I was, under, like, 14, which was, like, the age to, like, legally get paid, so I can get
Mm.
paid through the company. But yeah, like I learned so much from them and stuff like that. And then they ended up selling to like a pretty big credit card company back in like 2021. So
Did you get any equity or anything?
maybe, but
Nice, dude.
yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about the startup that you built in high school. What was it? How'd you get the idea? And how'd you recruit a team in high school, I guess?
Yeah, so I started this company called Aviado. So we built data products for private markets. Initially, we started as completely different. So we initially started as this like PE tool, right? So I saw this like article where it's like a bunch of private equity firms were buying a bunch of small businesses and roll ups. And when they were buying a lot of businesses and roll ups, I was like, okay, you know what? What if we like all these businesses had a lot of their public records online, right? So like if you're selling a business, your financials are on like small like biz buy sell, right, and all these different other platforms. So it's like what if we aggregated all the data and then figure out a way to like basically like figure out like underwrite these companies, right? So like for
Mm.
example, okay, like let's just say a car wash is in like Georgia in a rich town, right, versus like a poor town. Like, is this like a better property to buy? Turned out like private equity firms already do this, which is like they had people survey, right, which they would actually send people to survey these small businesses and talk to them, so they had more data than you. So the only people you could actually sell to is like retail buyers, which don't have any money at all for software. So we ended up pivoting to building for startup tools. And initially it was like, okay, instead of like scraping data, I could collect data. Turned out that was a stupid idea. And then like just a bunch of like I think the biz. I mean, I've been building it for like the last like 4 years, right? And it went through like so many different stages. And now we we basically like scrape or collect a lot of data, and we basically like have like a lot of like data on like how many shares an employee has, how many
Mm.
cars an employee has, right? So a lot of like really granular data, and then we power a lot of like tools. If you're in venture, you probably used us before. Like we power, we're AngelList's main data provider, right? Same with like a bunch of like the Mercors of the world, right? So on and so forth, which is pretty
Yeah,
nice.
makes sense. And how big is your team right now?
We're around I think like 9 full-time people, so still pretty small team,
Wow.
but we're pretty cash positive.
Like, well, how old are you now? Like 17, 18?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm getting old. So
Shut the hell up.
some of the times when I was 13.
You're becoming an unk, dude. You're an uncle now. All
Bro,
right. So
I've been
you're,
on Twitter. I've been seeing like kids like 12 building like fucking systems.
I mean, that was you. And if you were came up during like this AI rush, then you'd be doing the same stuff. So
No, but
same
it's
thing.
actually actually insane. It's like people are getting younger, bro. It's wild.
Yeah, they are. They really are. All right. So like right now, like the team is like 9 people. Like, what do you like about the startup life? You guys are a seed stage startup, right? You raised I think 3 million.
It was like 2.3, so not a ton.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So let me think, like $2 million raised, having to deal with investors, a team of 9, dealing with customers. Like, walk me through like what your like average day or average week looks like for you, and like what do you love about it? What do you hate about it in terms of being like a startup founder?
I think average is just like wake up, work, and then go to sleep. Like literally, I actually fit for the gym in the middle, right? Like that's literally my day. It's pretty boring, honestly, but yeah,
I know, but break down the workday. Is it like you just have a shit ton of meetings with like your directs or like your team? You probably don't really have directs. It's just like everybody works on stuff.
it depends. I think I mean it definitely got a lot more easier, right? Once like you had like a product where people would buy. Where like for the longest time we didn't have anyone that wanted to buy our product. So we were literally
Yeah.
like trying to figure out like how we could actually make money for like the longest time. Um, but yeah, like, I guess, yeah, like they're like, you have like meeting, it's a small company, right? So like, you had meetings with the team, figure out product. I think a lot of my role is like figure out product, hire really great people. How like sales, I do a lot of like sales stuff. I mean, even though we have a sales team, I also do hop on sales calls and then also like
Yeah.
iterate. You also have like like contracts, like upsells, right? And stuff like that too. And then a bunch of like different pollens, right? There's always like a lot of columns with
How are you
business.
getting customers right now? Like, what's your main
Um,
acquisition source?
Honestly, it's like what I'm good at is like I know how to like build very viral brands, right? Like build very viral campaigns, get like a lot of views and like a really, really small budget. Um, you can't really do that in enterprise software. So like,
Yeah, that's
um,
maybe if you're building a SaaS product that's like, like a Twitter tool that everybody could use, but it's like kind of niche. Yeah. So
yeah,
how are you doing it?
it's literally just like we have like an outreach tool on LinkedIn where like it uses my account to like link outreach, and then there's also like we also use like a couple of other things. Like my sales guys have emails that says like Eric Zoo at Aviado. My email is Eric at Aviado.co. My sales guys have emails that says Eric Zoo at Aviado.co, and they would shoot a bunch of
Nice.
emails out, and it would basically be like
Yeah.
a bunch of like it would basically be a bunch of like templates from like, okay, like, hey, I'm a 17-year-old founder, I want to get advice, and then once you hop on the call, it's like a fucking sales guy. Then
Yeah.
I'll hop on, right, in some of them, and then there's also like, I mean, LinkedIn outreach, like automation tools have been like super useful recently. And then there's also
Yeah.
like product launches. Like that's been working really well. Where it's like we would launch like free products to like search alumni, search talent, right? And stuff like that. And that's been but a lot of boring stuff there. So
Yeah. No, I mean, this whatever scalable is like the most efficient thing
mhm.
because you could just pour like money and time into it or like, resources into it. So like, for example, the LinkedIn tool, you don't have to say which one it is because then we don't want it to get banned and then you not be able to use it. But like, is a workflow basically like you write the template, it sends 200 messages per day to like a select group of people or targeted people. If they click, then they sign up for a call or like what's the workflow?
Yeah. It would basically be like they would send the connection request and
Mm,
then once they sign the connection request, immediately it shoots out a message. We try to keep it short. It's just like, yo, do you need people company data? And then we
nice.
would like, yeah, and then we would like target to a bunch of different people. I'm actually surprised how good the response rate is. And then once you like change your like title for your fucking LinkedIn to like, bro, I wish I could change it to like I'm 13 or some shit, and then that would have higher conversion.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Uh, so where stage are you at with the company right now? You guys are like growth stage, trying to just scale customers. Are you trying to raise another round, or where are you
Yeah.
at?
Um, yeah, I mean, right now it's like it's a good business, right? Haven't figured out if we
Yeah,
want to raise a new round yet. I mean, we're making
because you say you're profitable, right?
yeah,
Or
we're
like you're
profitable.
cash flow positive.
Yeah, yeah, like we make $1 million every single like I don't know, like month, 2 months ish. So
Yeah,
it's not a terrible business, but yeah, I don't know.
and if
We might raise more or
yeah, like if,
something.
even if you raise capital, what would you spend it on? Like building a bigger team and going after bigger or more people and landing more clients and just like scaling everything across the board.
Yeah, scale everything across the board. But it's like figuring out like what to actually scale to, right? Like, can you be like a bigger data provider? Can you compete with all the incumbents, right? I mean, we already benchmark a lot better than all the incumbents. So like People Data Labs and all these different things. It's like, okay, I think feel like if we're gonna raise a big round, it's would just be expanding your sales team, right? And get
Yeah,
everything, like
dialed in.
yeah, dialed in. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you end up graduating high school or did you
Um,
drop out?
I got kicked out sophomore year, so
No way.
I basically yeah, I got kicked out sophomore year. I Uh, what happened was, I ended up getting banned from using the restroom, and then, like from using the restroom, like literally the school sent security guards, like escort me out of class to use the restroom to like take a piss. Um, and then after like a while, I started like taking calls during like like they put me in detention for a week, so I started taking calls during detention, and so like the
Like what?
principal,
All right, so let's just be like super clear. Like, what kind of calls were you on? Like investor calls, calls with your team,
um,
like product
like
calls, like
both like so, I guess it was like calls with like team, like sales calls, a lot of like investor calls, right, and stuff like that. We were like fundraising back in the day. Um, but also like investors were our customers, right? Because before it used to be a venture product. That didn't end up panning well because it turns out venture funds don't have that much money. Um, but yeah, it was like a lot of like sales calls, right? Where we like book a lot of calls. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of, like they were treating me worse than drug dealers. Like the principal like knew my name like on the top of their ad. And then once they found like a reason to kick me out, which was you know, I there was a news station that wanted to take a picture of me in the bathroom. So I got them into school. And then it turns out it was like trespassing. So I ended up getting
Oh
kicked
my
out.
god.
I did an online school for like 2 years, and then I went to actually one of my investors. I don't know if you know ABC, Joe Lonsdale. He started
Mm-mm.
this school called University of Austin, which was like with like Barry Weiss and like Neil
Sick.
Ferguson, and that's like a new school. I went there for like 2 months, but yeah, it was fun.
So, like, it just kind of baffles me because, like you said, they treated you worse than drug dealers. Like, you couldn't go to the principal and pitch them like, "Yo, I'm building a real company. Like, yes, I'm not like maybe not as present in class or present as other students, but at least I'm not like doing drugs in the restroom or like doing illegal shit. Like, you can't just give me a pass and let me like, take calls 1 hour a day or use my lunch or I don't know, give me some kind of pass to be able to like do this and like eventually make this high school look great because I'm gonna build a cool company." Or like you never try to pitch them.
I mean, it was like one, it was in Bay Area, it was in Indiana, right? So like things were really different where it's like they actually
Mm.
demonize tech, where like, okay,
Oh
tech is
god.
actually like a, like, oh, like people are making money and stuff like that. It's terrible. And then the second part was like also I trolled way too much. Like I had so much fun in school. Uh like
I mean, you're like 14 years old. What do you expect? 15 years old.
Yeah,
Like,
I was fucking around way too much. Like I was bringing green screens in the bathroom, like I had a ring light, I had like a setup. At one point I was paying drug dealers like hotbox their installed to like make it look like I was, like because before it got a better reaction, right? I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
like once it's like they hotbox and installed, like, oh shit, they thought it was good. You know what? We're gonna do it like 10 more times. Um,
yeah. No,
but
dude, like, honestly, like, you like, as a marketer and as, like, somebody who, like, sees, like I live and breathe this stuff, like virality and distribution and growth and, like, seeing campaigns and breaking down what works and what doesn't work. So, like, you milked the situation, like, to the best of the possible like, best possible ability you could. Can you share, like, a couple of stories of, like, what happened? Like, I know you just said, like, you got a news station to come into the bathroom. I literally just saw the Not Nos Daily, feature that you got. I think it had, like, 14 million views or something crazy like that. So maybe share about that one and any other, like, crazy stories from that came from, like, the restroom calls
Yeah.
situation.
I mean, it was wild because a lot of people knew about it, right? So, like, expression and
Yeah,
stuff. So,
I'm pretty sure that's how I found out about you. I was like, "This kid is taking calls in the investor calls in the restroom." I know some of them were skits, so, like, you, like, milked it, but, like, that's how I found out
yeah.
about you, and I'm sure a lot of other people did too, you know?
Yeah, I think it was also, like, kind of like, now I don't use it back with me as much, but that was because it was like, okay, like, I milked it so much where it's like,
Yeah, it's part of your brand.
well, yeah, it was like, it got cringe, right, to the point where it's like, I can't keep milking something I did 3 years ago. And it's like, you also have to
Yeah.
go, like, constantly iterate, right? I mean, I think once the Baku went viral, it's like, I kind of broke down what made it go viral. And it was like
Mm,
very, very specific things, which is like, it's basically like how to build viral campaigns, right? And it was like, okay, like bathroom thing was like, okay, you go viral once, that's good, but can you go viral multiple and multiple and multiple times, right? And like that's when we were like, okay, like initially the bathroom thing wasn't viral until we basically placed it in a certain way, where you bought placements in a certain way. Like I probably spent like around like 5 or 6K and basically like making the bathroom story go viral, and that was like through meme accounts, through like paid like distributors, right? Through Reddit, right, so on and so forth. And I use the same strategy too with like a bunch of different other stories just to like figure out if it like actually always worked. And like yeah, like we did another one. Like I got banned from LinkedIn before I was like because I was too young, right? And that
mhm.
that story went pretty well. I mean, recently actually with Sperm Racing, it was like the very very similar thing where like it was exact same process of how you actually craft a story. And actually Roy Lee has I don't know if you've seen Cluey, like Roy has
Yeah,
done it super well too, which is like
they're
very very
crushing it.
similar, where it's like they do that. And then also like I was introducing Roy to like these like meme accounts or these pay accounts and stuff like that too, and they're getting like placements, right, and stuff like that. So like very like virality, it's like very engineered if you like break it down. You just have to like figure
Yeah,
out
so
which like thing to kind of do.
let's break down, like, the five-step process or whatever, like, when you come up with a new campaign or story or an idea, like, what kinda steps do you go through?
You first have to like A/B test a bunch of viral stories, right? So like how like a headline would look like. For example, okay, would it be like teen gets banned from the high school bathroom, or principal gets mad at this person, or security shows up, right? You basically A/B test with a bunch. You would A/B test on Reddit, you would A/B test with different people, test groups, figure out which story resonates the most and which story clicks. You're essentially making a really baity news headline. And then from
Clickbaiting, yeah.
there, yeah, and then from there, basically what you have to do is you have to craft a story, right? What like everyone likes stories. You have this like story arc where you have this. beginning, you have this middle, and then you have this end, right? And then you have this like climax. How can you reach the climax, and then how can you make the climax extend as long as possible? Where like everything dies, right? At the end of the day, you're essentially trying to turn yourself into a celebrity, and celebrities have shelf lives, right? Unless you basically like stop iterating. And kind of like through the process, okay, you like figure out the storyline, and after that, what you would do is there's two things I found that would be really effective. One is meme accounts. I ended up meeting all the biggest meme accounts out there. So like founders of like Puberty, Meme Czar, Earth Picks, College Frosting, all these confessions, all
Yeah.
these different things. I would basically give them the specific stories to basically post. I would give them specific stories because like if you think about it, memes are like the best
You
bumper
pay just
juice.
like an ad, right? Because they do
Yeah,
like ads. So you pay like $1,000 to get like three posts in a story post or something like that. So
yeah. I mean, usually these accounts are expensive, but I ended up knowing them really well. And it's like, how can I phrase it in like a way where it's like a viral story itself, right? And how you create
yeah,
virality if you abstract it down. It's literally one person sending it to two people sending it to more people, and then you kind of have this tree, right? And yeah, so it's like how can you make a story that people would actually send to other people on Instagram, and all these different platforms. So you would pipe on, and then you would have a viral story. You would put it through distributors, like kind of like this viral machine. And then on the flip side, you also like game Reddit, which like these things are like really easy to be game, right? Where it's like, hey, these are like a viral post, right? So on and so forth. And then I mean, Twitter also does pretty well where it's like you distribute to like elsewhere, right? And then you basically like snowball off of like the press and stuff like that until
yeah.
it kind of gets saturated to a certain extent. But
For
that's
for
what I
like
would
the
do.
for like the Twitter game, was it just like crafting a good social post, posting it like optimally at the right time, and then sending it to a few distributors to have them amplify or engage or reply early on, or like what was like the plan there?
I feel like coming up with like tweets is just so high effort, right? So like I kind of like stopped tweeting for a while, and that's like I could have like juiced out the bathroom stuff more if I didn't like take a year break from like tweeting, because I was like
No, but
really
I'm saying like
focused on like
for the tweets that your most viral tweets, like your pinned one, there is strategy behind the way you crafted it. It might not sound like strategy to you because it just comes natural, but like a lot of like noobs on Twitter would just like post. I literally posted a TechCrunch article today. It has 500,000 views, like almost 5,000 likes. And it's just the way it's crafted. It's like one line copy, all lowercase, screenshot. The dimensions are perfect, so it fits in the phone. Takes up a lot of the phone screen. So if you're scrolling, it's like all green on your phone. No link, so it's not clickable. It doesn't reduce the reach. So like all those little things that you probably normally already do, like other noobs on Twitter would just like post a link and be like, "Hi, I'm featured on TechCrunch. Check me out. Link here." And then like there's no
oh
image
yeah,
that
you
pops
never
up.
want
It's
to
just like
post a
a
link.
ugly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you never want to post a link on the main header. Yeah, I mean it's like now I could just eyeball it. Like I could like literally just eyeball and figure out like if this would go viral or not. Right?
So
Yeah. I mean you probably could
what
too.
a yeah, I mean, I did this for a living for 10 years, so hopefully I got it down by now. If not, then that's a problem. Are there any like all right, so like you've gone like crazy viral, and it seems like you've been like snowballing your personal brand for a while now. The Nos Daily thing went crazy viral. I was looking through the comments, some cool people replying. Your tweets have gone crazy viral. You got featured in TechCrunch. Um, like, are there any interesting stories of people DMing you or like really, really famous people that you're like never thought you would have been able to get in contact with, contacting you or anything around there? I think people see like the growth and distribution engine, great for product and great for like a business, but like it's just good relationship building in general because it's always great to see who knows you versus like who I guess.
Yeah, actually, I mean, this is an interesting one, which is like this billionaire. He flew me out to Vietnam. He like did me. He was like, "Hey, I want you to come to Vietnam, just spend time." And I was like, "What?"
Sketch.
I was like, this is definitely a scam. But yeah, he flew me out to Vietnam, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like this is not the hotel was so nice. Like, it was an all paid trip. I met like their soccer team and stuff like that too.
Oh
And
crap.
he made me like it was like I was like talking with a bunch of like really rich like real estate people or something like that. I was like supposed to give a talk. I didn't even know what to like talk about. Like he was like, okay,
Yeah.
give speech. I was like, well, what? I don't even speak the language. But yeah, that was like I mean that was interesting. But there's like a lot of like crazy stuff that happened with like I mean because it's like a lot of people like knowing about this stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
and that stuff like there's like a couple years ago, like people were like, oh, like this is like like are you like the bathroom guy or something like that.
I was just about to say that, yeah. It
Which
it becomes a meme in of itself, like,
yeah.
the person becomes a meme, which is very powerful when you're, like, wanna get in contact with people, and even if they don't recognize your face, you could just be like, Hey, have you ever seen that like stupid kid that went viral in the restroom? And they're like, yeah, of course, duh. Like, oh yeah, that was me. Like that was me
Yeah.
when I was
It
14. And
helped
so
with
it's like,
customers too. Yeah, like, a lot of them, like, I hop on, they're like, "Oh, like, did you do the stuff in the bathroom?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." But
yeah, just like expedites like the trust process where
yeah.
you go from like a stranger like on the internet to like, oh, I kind of know about you. You're not like a weirdo. Like you're kind of funny. I can shoot the shit with you. So like, I automatically trust you a lot more. You know,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's like the power of social media that a lot of people like overlook and they just like only care about the numbers or like the acquisition
Yeah.
for the business.
Yeah, it works so well. Like, yeah, I was surprised. I mean, as a, like, like, yeah, like, it helps with, like, brand building. It helps open up conversations. Like, I would, cold email people, and it was so much easier because, like, I would just say, like, "Hey, like, I'm 17 or 16 now. I started a company out of the high school bathroom," right? So just make
Oh
things a
yeah,
lot easier.
yeah. It helps with like SEO too. Like Googled you, your Instagram came up. The first pin thing is a Nos Daily thing. I click, it says like 11, 12 million views. Nos Daily has a 4 minute video view. Like the second thing was like a TechRich article. So it's like obviously if it's you and a competitor, I'm going to trust you more, even if I've never met you, or even if your product is more expensive. So it just like it works on so many levels. I think.
It's also, like, what's the most, like, controversial stuff. Like, there's 2 things that go viral. So, something that's out of context, something funny, something controversial.
Mm.
Controversial stuff sells really, really fucking well,
Yeah.
right? They're
And
like
I feel like the thing you're working on now with like the sperm racing, let's talk about that a little bit. I feel like that's super controversial. People are talking about it. It's on the news and like podcasts talking about it. So what is it? And how'd you, like, what are you doing with it? I guess.
Yeah, so basically we so I mean, I was with some health people last year. I was like, "Oh," like, I always had this idea for a while. I was like, "I always wanna raise sperm." And then there's a billionaire, he, like, flew me out to New York. He was like, ever since I was 2 years old, this billionaire he flew me out to New York. He was like, "What's the craziest idea that you have?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll on a race cop," like, as a joke. And then he was like, "Oh, that's a great, like, tell me more." And then he was like, and then we like, talked about it for an hour. And then next day I, like, wrote a manifesto on it. We put it on the internet, and then a bunch of people reached out. They were like, "Hey, I wanna give you money." So we ended up putting, like, 1.5 million initially. It was, like, literally just,
Dude,
like,
that's wild.
think about it. It's, like, literally, like, put 2 sperm samples in a microfluidic, and you basically also, now we raised a lot more money. It's
Well, is it turning into like a not a conference or like an event? You're gonna like rent out a stadium or like what is this gonna be like?
it's a company. Um,
Oh my god.
so we raised, a little more than 8 million,
Whoa.
to raise sperm. Um,
Is
but
it like pure entertainment? Is there like a health aspect like
yeah,
behind
I
it?
mean,
Like
sperm is an
what?
agro biomarker, right? So the healthier you are, the faster your sperm is. So you're essentially, like, turning health into a competition. Where it's like, like me versus a competitive sperm racer, right? If someone optimizes the health, they're gonna be faster, right? So you could actually
That's
train
so crazy.
to make your sperm fast. It's a crazy
What's
concept.
it's so crazy. I mean, and it plays perfectly into the whole like going viral and the distribution aspect of it. Like, of course, everybody who hears it is going to do a double take, even if they agree or don't agree, or just like it's interesting, and it's a story worth sharing.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
so I
we
guess now
started
you're,
it with some. I mean, I started with some friends. I was like literally just called up a bunch of smart friends. So we started with like the third person, Mr. Beast, and then we had like a couple other guys. I don't know if you are on Instagram at all, but it's a Asian guy that measures people's heights. Like, I knew him for a while,
mm,
and yeah, we
yeah.
ended up just starting this together.
What's the goal of the company? Is just you raise this capital. What's the next step, and how are you managing two companies at once?
Olympics, Olympics. We want to
Sperm Olympics.
sperm racing in the Olympics, bro. Like, I mean, 2020, like 2028 Olympics, maybe not realistic, but like 2032 Olympics, bro. That's where it's at. I mean, it's interesting. It's like, just what more, right? So,
Yeah,
it's also a lot more fun. Like, I'm having a lot more fun, or I'm having a lot of fun racing sperm. Like, it's very different than enterprise software, where it's like, okay,
yeah, that's
like
crazy.
like actually, I was surprised. Like, so many people know about sperm racing. Like, you would go on the street, you would ask, like, because we're sure you were like figuring out, okay, like, what our target demographic is, right? So this over, go on the street, like, people would actually know what sperm racing is, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I think part of the I mean, I don't know if this is true, like, if you think this is true, but I think part of the reason why this is, like, more socially acceptable right now is, like, there's people like Andrew Schultz and a lot of celebrities talking about, like, how they're having a hard time having kids, and, like, at first, they're like, "Oh, yeah, it's a woman's fault, it's a woman's fault," and then, like, "Wait a minute, I go to the doctors and I find out it's me, it's my fault." It's like, it's my sperm that's not, like, working or, like, operating properly, so I feel like that is probably, like, helping, putting wind behind your tailwinds or whatever, um, and making it more acceptable for people to just like be open to the idea of like sperm racing as a as a sport or whatever you're trying to build it into.
Well, I mean, it's a crazy concept, right? I mean, you never thought like 2025 is a year where you could race or not and make money, right? So like,
Yeah.
it's I mean, it's insane. It's something that's never done before, which is exciting.
Yeah. So then how are you managing your time? What does like the structure look like for both companies? I imagine one of them is taking more time and energy.
Oh yeah, I mean, mainly running the data company, right? But like,
Yeah.
we have an office. We also have an office in SF for sperm racing. So, just
Nice.
like alternating between both and stuff like that, which is pretty nice.
So, do you have any downtime or you pretty much just work all day and go to sleep?
Loki at this point, yeah, like I feel like I barely spend time in my house anymore. Which is just yeah, like I back then we were like starting with like working out of our house, right, and stuff like that. But yeah, like now it's like I only go back to like sleep. Like I'm in the office most of the day, so.
Yeah. I feel like obviously like you're young, you're talented at what you do, but like this third aspect of like understanding like viral marketing and distribution and like really like getting creative and like doubling down on it is something that a lot of other founders don't really get. So do you have like any general pieces of advice of just like, yo, if you want to like get better at social or building an online presence, don't do this because this is stupid, or like double down on this. I think recently it's become more of a trend of like founders finally understanding that like, oh, it's probably important if I have a Twitter presence because I can get investors or users or whatever. But any general advice? There's stuff that has
Well,
worked for you?
I think it depends. It actually is like it's like different types of people, right? Like most founders probably wouldn't want to be, like influencers, right? And if you look at the biggest companies out there too, like it does like they have such a good product. They don't need a founder that has a face. Like if you look at all the biggest enterprise software companies, right? Like Asana, you have like actually Asana is a bad example, but you have like all these like massive companies that are printing money. Like no one knows who the founders are. Um, and it's just like a different type of business, right? I think it
Yeah.
really depends. It's also like, which founders are outlandish enough to like actually build a presence, right? Like, for example,
Yeah.
like, I mean, when it comes to like engineering, like I'm not the best engineer out there. If I tried, I probably wouldn't. If you're like telling me to like build computer chips and stuff like that, I can't do that. But some people
Yeah.
can, right? And it's like they're probably a lot better at doing that, or like they're made for it better than doing that. Like for me, like my skill set's like, yeah, I could code, but also primarily like I know how to do growth really well. I know how to do growth, I know how to do sales, right? So I
Exactly.
just double down on that. So it just really depends on what their strong suit is. And then, if they're like really good at coding, it doesn't make sense to, like, go full force in content creation, right? It's like a
Yeah.
whole different thing. So
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Well, any advice for those that have a little bit of that in them and think that they should double down?
controversy sells. It's like people don't like boring things, people like very controversial, really strange, very crazy things. And the only people like consuming that kind of content. It's like what content
Yeah.
do people like consuming? Do people like consuming and say, hey, today's a nice day outside? Or do people say like, oh, like, hey, I'm gonna cheat and like get kicked out of Colombia or something like that, right? Like those are like that's like the kind of content that people like because it's exciting. Uh, and if you were willing to throw yourself out there and get a lot of backlash for it, I mean, that's kind of what usually works.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that kind of content also like favors in the algorithm too. So like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a hit or miss. Like if you don't have the personality or like the will behind all the backlash that you're gonna receive online because it's gonna tear you apart. Then don't go that route. Just go like stay low key. But if you have like the personality behind it, then just make sure go for it. Um, all right. So like you're like a different generation of entrepreneurs. So like what trends are you seeing amongst your friends, whether they're like entrepreneurial friends or even just like friends in general, like consumer trends or anything in general?
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting where I mean, as you kind of see, like a lot of younger people are building companies, and with that comes like they're doing it very very differently. They're doing distribution very differently, right? They're rewriting a lot of like different playbooks that actually work. Like one of my, I mean, there's like a really small community of like people that are like underage that they're building companies, right? I guess like so good friends like for example like Roy. Roy's a good friend. I think he's with us. I don't know if you've seen Zach Yadagari. Um,
Mm.
he's a Cal AI. But those are
Oh
really
yeah.
close friends, and they've done like a lot of like really interesting stuff where it's like okay, they actually found different ways to do distribution than most people aren't. And then you have like Avi Shipman and all these different other people, right? So it's like they've all like done really like for example like it was really rare for people to spend all their fucking money on a commercial, right, or a launch video back then, and it's working. Like when Roy came up to me, he was like, "Hey, like I'm spending all my money, like a few $100,000 to make a launch video." I thought he was crazy. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. And I mean, and then I referred him to one of my friends who did our launch video. And he was like, I'll spend all the money. It's like, fuck, like this is so dumb. And it ended up working really, really fucking well. Right. It seemed
Yeah,
like
what does that video have on Twitter now? Like 10 million views or something
like
crazy?
20
Like
or something.
every person in tech, I think it's even hit like second and third degree networks where like, yeah,
Outside
everybody
of
in
tech
tech has
too.
seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
outside of
exactly.
tech too. Yeah. Like he's on a generational run right now, right? With a lot of the
They're
stuff.
crushing.
It's like so controversial. It's like either you hate him or you love him. Like there's no like in between. Right. So
Yeah. What about like raising capital? So like you've been raising capital since you were like literally a teenager and you still are a teenager. What do those calls look like when you hop on the call and they're like, all right, can you put your dad on? Like, all right, do they take you seriously or like, do you try to act like you're older than you really are? Or like, what does that
I
game
mean,
look like?
honestly, it's like you lower the expectation, right? Because like people don't judge in the same framework as like a regular person, and then you basically like impress them even a little bit. Like they would be like, oh my god, this is crazy. I think I mean that venture specifically is been pretty receptive to people that are really young. I have a lot of young friends that are raising a lot of money, right? But I mean, I think it's like I think at the end of the day, it's just like literally just build a business, right? Like your goal, like your I feel like people glorify raising money way too much, where it's like, okay, I'm just selling more pieces of my business, right?
Mhm.
Unless like you need the money, it's like when you don't need it, it's like, okay, like how can you actually build really, really fucking great products, and how can you actually build a business on top of it?
Yeah.
But I think in these calls, I mean, initially, like when I was 13, right? Initially, their questions would be like, okay, you have school, how are you going to manage your school, right? Like, are you going to go full time on this? Right. And stuff like that. When I was like showing up in my room, and I showed up in the bathroom, they answered all the questions. They're like, "Oh, fuck yeah." Like
He's going to do it no matter what.
he's
Like
gonna
he's
do this no
hardcore.
matter what. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it's just like, I think biggest misconception. I mean, you worked in venture, which is like,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to, like, you don't pitch the investor. Investor is trying to make money for the LP. So at the end of
Yeah,
the day,
exactly.
you want to figure out a way to position you as like a really hot deal. And how do you do that? You got to figure it out, right? Which there's a lot of grifting involved, but
Yeah. Um, your friends from high school, like, and even your parents, like, what do they think now? Do you talk to them? They're like, "Oh shit, the restroom kid actually did it." And then separately, like your parents now, is it finally like a, "See, I told you," you know?
actually, so with my parents, they kind of know what I do, but don't really. Like they know I'm building a company. They actually didn't know about sperm racing too when it was on the until it was on the news. So they
Oh my
actually
god,
saw it on the news and they're like, "What the fuck? What is this?" Um, but yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I think with school, I mean, a lot of kids thought it was crazy because I was spending most of like they knew me as like the kid that was like hogging the fucking bathroom most of the time. Um,
did you have your
that
own stall probably? Like you're like the middle
yeah,
one or
oh,
whatever,
no,
the
yeah,
corner
no, I
one,
knew like, I knew the bathrooms left and right, bro, every single inch. I spent so much time in there. Like, I know which bathrooms have, like, bad, plumbing
echoey
issues,
or whatever.
where it was, like, like, the lighting too, like, there was some bathrooms that had bad lighting, there's some bathrooms that had good lighting. I know exactly which each of the drug I met all the drug dealers. I became homies with all the drug dealers. Um, and
Like, yo, I won't snitch if you won't snitch.
yeah. Yo, bro, actually, yeah, one of the also like a big reason of why I got kicked out was because one of the drug dealers snitched and he was like, "Oh, I wasn't selling drugs. I was selling this guy Eric called asses." um
Oh my
so he ended
god,
up snitching, which was terrible. But yeah, no, it was
damn,
I mean, the drug dealers were crazy. It was like yeah, like they were it was insane how it was they had like it was pretty complex because I went to a 5,000 student school. So it was like,
that's big.
generations after generations after generations of knowing like, what kind of like bathrooms are good, right? So it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah. So what about friends? Like you kind of talk to them and they're like, "Oh man, he finally did it," or like, he's doing it.
I mean they're like, oh, like I never thought this would actually happen, right? Uh, I mean, because there's only two things that could have happened. It could have been like, okay, like it would have been like there are like two things that could have happened. It would have been like, like if like the company never worked out, right? If like I didn't work as much, I could have been like known as a degenerate, like fucking
Yep.
spending most of my time in the bathroom and not attending classes and only doing tests. Or it could have worked out, right? So there's only like two options that could have done. I mean, like it's like reverse. It's like, okay, like what would have happened if everything failed, right? And I think it would have been different, but it was like a 50-50 chance, or actually even less than a 50-50 chance of like things working out. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
true.
it was interesting.
When you think about like friends, do you like try to hire friends from like your first like high school or like people online, or how do you go about like hiring those 9 people or all the other people that you've hired throughout your like pretty young career so far?
I've actually so there was a time. So actually, I started this, with this kid in middle school who hacked the grade system back in middle school. I was like, holy shit, you're really, really smart. So
He hacked a grade?
he hacked the grade system. So,
Oh
he
wow.
basically figured out a way to change the admin portal, and he was known as this, like, kid that would, like, basically hack into things in school.
Hmm.
So, in high school, don't get paid that much. So I was like, I was like, "Hey, like, you wanna work for it?" And that's back when we didn't have any money, and we were, like, trying to do a lot of data stuff. And he did it really well. He knows how to break into anything, right? Just crazy. And I was like, "Hey, $25 an hour, you wanna come on?" And that was a lot of money
Yeah,
back
that's
then.
a lot of money.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
lot of money for high schoolers. And yeah, like we would basically like work together, like we would co-work in the bathroom. So like, sometimes we would get the sink and I would get the stall. Sometimes we use the urinals as the standing desk. Like the urinals was a great standing desk. Like don't get me wrong, like that shit was incredible. Because if you sit on the toilet for too long, you have like strains on your
Your
like
butt starts
legs.
hurting.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
butt starts hurting, but the urinals were really close to each other. You put a paper towel underneath, but that shit slaps. And then there was like a
Like
there's
the
like a
perfect
sink.
height too.
Yeah, the perfect height. Well, the urinals are the perfect height. Sometimes it gets smelly. There was this one bathroom that had a sink, and one had a toilet. So me and Micah, his name is Micah. He would basically sit in the stall, right in the toilet, and then we'd alternate between the sink and the toilet to like circulate
Oh
our
my
legs
god.
and stuff. Um,
Dude,
but
were people getting pissed? Like,
bro,
when you
people
come
were
into the
getting
restroom,
pissed.
they have to
They're
use the
like,
restroom, and they like
yeah,
you hog in the stall, like, in the middle of a call, and they're like,
they
"I
were
need to go
so
number 2."
pissed.
Like,
Like
yeah.
there's one time this guy he threw a textbook over the stall.
Oh
Uh,
my god.
yeah, it was crazy. But the bathroom was a wild place. But yeah, I mean, and yeah, like someone threw like a ketchup box like over the stall. Like it was crazy. Um, but there's so many stories from the bathroom. But I mean, also like I guess as like hiring, like I learned so much through there too, which is like, like I used to have this problem with like I would hire for optics. Like I would hire like really really talented. Like I would try to hire
Mm.
like people that have like a long rap, right? Even though it's like they weren't the best fit for the job, they just sounded
They had the
really, really
background or
good. Yeah,
whatever.
they had the background.
Yeah.
And most of it's actually bullshit, which is like when you're trying to hire talent, you're not trying to hire like, right, an
Locals.
engineer at like this company or something like that. You want to hire exceptional talent. You like most of these people are like subpar. Like if you're like 20 and you're like working at like, a company that like, like you're not leveling up and stuff like that, and you're just like in corporate, like you're working cool, you probably lost, right? Or like
Yeah, and they
you're
could coast it for a while. They could coast like 4 or 5
yeah,
years and just like,
like the coasting.
collect the check. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then how are you testing them, or how are you like,
So
filtering out the people that are actually real
So
versus like
actually,
the coasters?
before I used to hire a bunch of high schoolers,
Mm.
and then I fired a bunch of them, because I was like, okay, you know what? Like, we actually got to turn it a serious company. Like, this is this serious company now. And I hired a bunch of older people, but then it came with like they were working less than the high schoolers, where it's like they had like strict things from like 9 to 5. They had kids, they had insurance, they had all these different things, and it was pretty rough. And we hired a bunch of these guys, and ended up like not being as good as like some of the high schoolers. So I like sat down, I was like, fuck, like this is terrible. Like this, we're moving so slow. So the best places I hire is actually Minecraft cheating communities, where like they start off with like they start off when they're like 3 or 4, and it's just love coding, and they try to break into a lot of different stuff. Like they like if I didn't hire them, they would go to some illegal shit. Like those are like the best people you got because
Yeah. Like
they've
they'll make
no
it, make it happen no matter what. They'll
they will
figure it
make
out.
it happen no matter what. They work like hell. And then also they are really, really smart. And also like, yeah, like I like it's either like, I mean, you have these like Ivy League, like, people, right, and stuff like that too, at like colleges. But at the same time though, equally as good are, was kind of crazy is community colleges where people didn't give a shit about in high school. And all they did was just code all day. They didn't care about application. They didn't care about gaming the system. And they end up being one of the like smartest, like highest IQ people that I've seen that are like,
Yeah.
that just like basically work all day to like, actually, build stuff, right? And so like those are like the two talent pools. It's like either like Ivy League people, where it's like, hey, they're smart, they know what they're gonna do, they have some reputation, or it's like these community college people, or like these degenerates in high school where like they didn't go to high school and stuff like that. And that and you know that those are like two of the best hiring tools I've seen. And they're all in
Sick,
Minecraft shooting
man.
communities.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you've learned of like building a company that you wish you would have like learned 4 years ago or 3 years ago whenever you started? I mean, you started like really early, but you've like also been so progressed or like so advanced versus the people that like start like in their late 20s or even later.
I mean, I think it's just trying a bunch of shit, right? I mean, there's still like a lot to like learn. I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
of
like
course.
there's a lot like, for example, like, like I mean, I had to like step up and actually like with a lot of these like guys who are like older, right? Like I had to like figure out, okay, like uh one of the things is like I would like, and this is like one of the problems I had before was like I would basically say how good of a position we're really not. And it's like, okay, like instead of like telling people, hey, or like telling your team that this is really great, you prove to them by doing compliments, right? Where it's like, okay, even though
Mm.
like the product's not there, you're competent enough to actually make the product to where it actually goes, right? I mean, those are like obvious kind of lessons, but like those are like big ones where it's like, okay, like once you like actually are in that position, you're like, how can you actually do this, right? Same as like, there's like a time where it's like we were running out of money, uh, and like we had a toilet in an office, and on top of that, it was a Camlet. Um, and it would basically say, how, like, are we fucked yet? And me, like, equipment owners agreed. If we got you 20K in the bank, we had to give everyone
It's like last month or last whatever 3 months of runway or whatever.
yeah, last month of runway actually, and last like
Yep.
2 weeks of runway. So we
Yeah.
were fucked because we didn't have a product, we weren't making money, product wasn't working. What I actually ended up saving was this person. She flew me on a private jet to a concert for a weekend, and she was like, hey, we were talking and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, look, like this could actually work out. And I was like, hey, here's like 400K, here's some money, and I ended up saving the company like crazy. Was like
That's what saved the money company.
that's why I ended up saving it. But
Wow.
there's a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, as like operating company, right? Especially, I mean, there's so much to different things I learned like through the last couple of years, which like, I'm actually like really grateful for it too.
Yeah. And you're in SF now, right? How long have you been there for?
3 years now.
You loving it? Like I mean, the
Yeah,
city's on the way up. I feel like it gradually has changed like the past 6 months.
it's getting so much better.
But like
New
aside from
mayor.
like it being Gotham City for a while, like you like being like in the tech scene and just like so close to quick calls, VCs, and all that
I mean,
founders.
first time I think it's less about like the VCs, like stuff like that. You could raise money whenever. I think it's just the culture. Like culture is so different. Where it's like, I go to like Miami, right, and like even LA, it's like, oh my god, it's so relaxed. And then over here, it's like, fuck, everyone's working. It's so depressing. Also, like, there's no parties here. Like, there's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
fun here. Like, if you want to go to a party, fly to Arizona or like New York for a weekend or LA. And in New York, there's like a bar in every single corner, right?
yep.
Which is crazy.
New Yorkers work hard too, but I think there's something special about the SF tech scene where it's like if you're building, you go to SF. It doesn't matter if it's AI or just regular tech company or SaaS or whatever, because like everybody else is building, so it just forces you to level up. And yeah, just like meeting people up for coffee or for drinks or whatever, just like you share ideas that you wouldn't have shared over a
The
video
people
call
are
or Zoom
so
call or
smart here.
whatever.
Like, I feel so dumb, right? And that
Yeah,
stuff. Like, there's always like so many smart people there and building a lot of cool stuff. It's like you can't replace something like SF. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, even though like I mean, first time I came here, it's so much better than first time I came here was 2021. I came here in the summer of freshman year of high school.
yep.
Um, and yeah, it was like really different. Like it was like post COVID and stuff like that. They were like I mean, it was like very
It's pretty
comparable to
bad.
the drugs I saw in the bath. I saw so many different types of drugs in the bathroom. Like but yeah, like it was very comparable. Actually, no fentanyl. Um, but there was a fentanyl in with Joe in another school though. But
Jesus Christ! Oh my
yeah,
God!
it was crazy.
Yeah,
Bro, drugs are such a big problem in high
yeah.
schools.
Well, I'm glad you never got jumped in high school. Like
Bro,
jumped pretty bad
no,
to the
I was
point.
actually it was interesting. I forgot to bring cash one time, when I was buying hall passes. Um, and they didn't let me leave the bathroom.
Oh
So
snap! That's probably scary. Did you borrow
no,
money off of a friend or weasel your
no,
way out? IOU?
no. They basically made me um take like a hit in order to like
Oh my
they wanted to
God.
see like an Asian guy, like, getting hot, right? And so like yeah, like it was wild. There's also like times was like I would like fuck around way too much. I'd like I there's this like that kid. His name was he was like this rapper. I'm not gonna name him, but he was like trying to. He was like really big. He was like sort of like this goon. But yeah, like he would. I hated that kid because he was like um, and yeah, so like we would like in the bathrooms, right? He would do some crazy shit. Like he would climb under and stuff like that. And like, I mean, I also like called it like he would call me like slurs, and then I would call him back some interesting things. Not slurs though. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's some funny stories there.
Sketchy times in the restroom.
Sketchy times, yeah. It was interesting times. I would do some crazy stuff back, and then he got pissed one time, and
Dude, I feel like this restroom meme is gonna carry you for like the rest of your life. Like in all your offices moving forward, you have to have like like a toilet in the middle of
but
the yeah,
yeah.
like the main area where everybody works or
Well,
whatever.
it's like hit as much side quests as you can, right? It's like
Yeah.
like everything's like a side. I mean, it's so much more fun now. Like it's like crazy because like a couple of years back, I mean, it's like was like middle of nowhere. It's like literally you go to school and then there's like nothing outside, and then now you're like doing a bunch of dirt. So it's definitely more fun, which is kind of
Yeah.
nice. But yeah.
So what's next for you? Like you were kind of running two companies now. I didn't realize that the sperm one was like so big and actually you raised more capital than your real company. But like what's next for you the next couple of years or kind of like what you're looking forward to or just anything in general. It doesn't have to be related to business.
I think yeah, I mean now it's like kind of like fuck around and find out, right? Hit a bunch of side quests. I went to one of my investor schools for a little bit. It was an interesting experience. Had a lot of fun there. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I'm trying to figure stuff out. Actually me and Zach Yadagari, we applied to colleges together. Um, we had
Are you trying to go to college?
my mom has been making me like apply for like a while.
Oh gosh.
So I applied with Zach. We got cooked because our essays were very similar, but we had like really same stats, like the SAT scores and stuff like that. But yeah, it was
Were they good? Were like your
uh,
stats good enough to get into college, but you didn't have
they
did
were
you even have a high school degree?
no, yeah, I did have a high school degree. I did go to
Oh,
online
okay.
school, but me and Zach had
Oh
like
man.
we had really similar. He had high grades in me in school. We had like really
Yeah.
similar stats. But we got cooked in college apps because our essay was like looking like we didn't care.
Oh
So
man.
yeah,
I feel like I mean, it's just so difficult because like the genius always looks like a genius in hindsight, like the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, but like in the moment they look stupid and look like they're fucking around, but like, it's just like using your talent for the wrong reasons in their eyes. Um, but like, are you serious about trying to go to college and then keep doing these two companies, or you kind of just kind of like
my mom's
apply for your
my mom's
parents? Like,
yeah, my mom. I mean, one of the things I promised along was like I would apply to college if I ended up moving to SF. So that's something I have to because my mom would get pissed. She reminds her every single
yeah.
day. So like
I mean, you
I
could
mean,
always just do
it
like
doesn't take
online
that much effort.
school. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take that much effort, right? So like why not like apply to college? I mean, it's my senior year this year, so
Any other words of advice or final stories you want to chime in and share before finishing up?
hey, yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff. There's a lot. I mean, it's just like like hit us with side quests, right? It's like optimized for like the fuck around, find out, as much as we can. So
Yeah,
let's
man. Well,
you
it's been dope, like, watching you quote unquote like grow up like the
know.
past 2 or 3 years, even though you're
Bro,
like still
getting old.
17.
It's
So,
it's. I'm almost 18. I'm almost 18 now.
oh my God,
Yo,
you still
yeah,
got a long ways to go. But
bro.
yeah, if there's anything else like I could help with or people listening help with, I'll drop all the links to like your Twitter account, your company account. But keep doing what you're doing. I think it's really dope. I think your angle at like building a company and like focusing on distribution and marketing and virality is like plays perfectly into the thesis that I've been like working on, which is essentially like AI is going to eventually be able to build anything you want, and like previously high skilled work is now becoming easily replaceable. So like distribution and virality and marketing and brand is like going to be the moat. It already is the moat, I think, and you're like one of the people that have like proven it. So just keep doing what you're doing, like share the journey and share your wins and everything. I think people like appreciate it. Um,
Appreciate it. Yeah,
yeah,
I
man,
mean, it's totally fun, and also like I feel like I followed you for like ages now. I think it's even longer than like 3 years. I think it's like 4 years.
that's so crazy.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's wild.
it's crazy. Yeah, and then you used to be at Andreessen, right? With
Yeah, I was
yeah.
Andreessen for full time for like a little over I think 2.5 years.
Wait, do you know Brett
Yeah,
Chen? By any chance?
yeah. Brett's dope.
Yeah,
Brett.
Brett was I met him actually first time I was in SF. So we hung out like
Sick.
all summer. It was kind of interesting. I met Brett at a rave in New York, and then we got to
Nice.
test
Yeah,
some stuff.
Brett's cool.
Yeah, yeah. But I knew Brett for a while, so I think that's how I heard about you. It was from Brett. So
Nice. Sick. Shout out to Brett for putting me on.
fun.
Dope, dude. Well, appreciate the time, and yeah,
Awesome.
see
Was
you.
fun. All right. I'll see you soon.